प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः. Om. Dear friends, welcome to the study of Gita. We are reading the 18th chapter and we read 58th shloka yesterday. 58th shloka where he was saying, Athachetvam ahankara matchittah sarvadurgani matprasadat tarishyasi Athachetvam ahankarat nashroshyasi vinangshyasi. If you do not follow my advice, thinking yourself to be a great intelligent man, you are not going to achieve Purushartha. Purushartha means Purushena Arthyate iti Purushartha, that is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. These are the four Purusharthas, that is, these are the goals, human goals. And in the present context, in the context of Arjuna, the Purushartha is Dharma. He has to defeat Adharma and he has to establish Dharma. So you are going to fail in your objective if you take up sannyasa. I was telling you about what happens in that Sanjaya's peace mission. Yesterday I was telling you, when Sanjaya is sent by Dhritarashtra, he pleads, he tries to make all these Pandavas sentimental. He tries to do some psychological operations on this Dharmaraja, Bhima and Arjuna. And I was telling you, even Bhima and Arjuna, they become sentimental. They say, okay, why should we fight? Okay, what our Pedananna, what our father says. Father means father's elder brother. So what he says is right. Dharmaraja, he is very clear. Dharmaraja, in his mind, there is no, he knows that what Yudhishthira is doing is a sort of psychological operation. So he is somebody who is not going to be cowed down in a psychological battle. So what all has to be yielded, he has already yielded. So when Dhritarashtra invited for the game of dice, he came. And when Dhritarashtra said, okay, you go to that Varanavata where that house made of inflammable things, they were made, he went. So he did all that. But now, this sentimental thing, so Dharmaraja Yudhishthira is simply very politely, he is saying, okay, let him give 5 villages to us. So that of course, at least that Dhritarashtra should not reject. So for our livelihood, let him give at least 5 villages. So even that, he knows that he will not grant, and then he is very sure that this Duryodhana is not a person to yield even to that. So we saw that shloka yesterday, that episode. So now we come to the next shloka, that is 59th shloka. 59th shloka, he is continuing in the same way. Krishna is saying, you do not think that you have understood your role in this entire cosmic scheme. You are still at the level of karma yoga. You have not still got over your swabhava karma. You have to perform your karma. If you think that you are not going to do, it will not happen because your swabhava will anyway impel you. That is what he is going to say. 59. Yadahankaram ashritya nayotsyai manyase Mithyaiva vyavasayaste prakrutistvam niyokshyati. So he says, Yad ahankaram ashritya. Yad means in case ahankaram ashritya, by adopting that attitude, this I know, ahankara, I told you it is not arrogance, because Arjuna is not an arrogant person. Arjuna is a person who may think, okay, I know what is dharma, adharma, but it is not arrogance. So if you think that you have understood what is right and what is wrong, it is not so. If you think that you are not, if you say that I am not going to fight, nayotsya is actually nayotsya. In this shloka, it becomes nayotsya because there is a sandhi. Nayotsya iti becomes nayotsya iti. In the shloka, there is a sandhi. That because of that sandhi, it becomes nayotsya iti. We should not say nayotsya iti manyase. It's not so. Nayotsya iti manyase. That is, nayotsya means I will not fight. Iti manyase, if you think so. Ahankaram ashritya. That is, by adopting a sort of all-knowing attitude. Yes, I know. So then, I know not only means not that I know. I am a dharmika. I want peace. I want dharma. And your idea of dharma is totally different from what is dharma. What is dharma is controlling, adharma is dharma. So if you think that you are, by avoiding that, if you think that you are being a dharmika, it is totally wrong. Suppose there is a fellow who is encroaching into our country, and if you don't fight back, If you say that no, it is adharma to fight, then the king is not fit to be a king. It is like that. So, ahankaram ashritya na yotsyaiti manyase. If you think that you are a dharmika and if you say that I am not going to fight, it's not correct. Mithyaiva vyavasayah te. Vyavasayah te. Te means yours. Your vyavasaya means your determination, your nishchaya is something which is a mithya. Mithya means which is totally futile. It is useless. It is useless. It is futile. If you think that you are a great dharmika and then you are not going to fight, your understanding, your nishchaya, that is something which is your decision rather. Your decision is something which is futile. Because prakritihi tvam niyokshyati. Prakriti is your nature. Because you are made, you are constituted, your combination is full of rajoguna. Rajoguna full of activity and then full of fighting spirit. So that will actually, tvam means you, niyokshyati. It will guide you, it will propel you, it will impel you to take up weapons. Niyokshyati. Niyojayasi. We have seen that word. Kim niyojayasi keshava. Niyojayasi means why are you prompting me to do this? Why are you prompting me in this particular course? So niyokshyati is the future tense. Niyojayati. Niyokshyati. Niyojayati means that which prompts. Niyokshyati means it will prompt. So it will impel you. Prakritihi tvam niyokshyati. Your own svabhava, your own rajoguna is going to impel you. So you may dilly-dally. You may say, no, I don't want to do this war. I want to take up sannyasa. But your nature will actually drive you. Because right now, Arjuna's vairagya is not a vairagya born out of some real dispassion. You see, vairagya we have seen even from the beginning we have been seeing, there is a word called vairagya. Vairagya means, raga means attachment. Viraga means vigataha raga. That is, that attachment disappears. That state is called vairagya. The state in which our attachment for things disappear is vairagya. So Arjuna's vairagya is not exactly real vairagya coming out of proper analysis. It is somewhat like Purana vairagya. So in fact I told you some long ago about Purana vairagya. Purana vairagya means, suppose in the evening I go to some satsang and some Swamiji is saying all this the whole world is a mithya, then you should not take it seriously, and then again he says, okay, you have to give up all things, etc., etc. And while listening, I feel so impressed by that, and then, okay, nice, very nice. But the moment I come out, my own nature comes out, my own nature springs up, and I am again angry with somebody, I am again fighting with somebody, I want, this is mine, I and mine. These two things, they come very dominantly to the forefront. So this type of vairagya, very tentative vairagya. That is, you are under the influence of some event, you become temporarily sentimental. That is Purana vairagya or Smashana vairagya. Suppose you go to see somebody in the cemetery. Suppose in the cemetery there is some funeral procession, funeral ceremony going on, and suppose I go to see that. And temporarily I feel, oh, all this is very, very futile, all human being is so little in this whole universe. So I feel sentimental about it. But then immediately after coming out, I am again back into my own selfish way of living. So that is Smashana vairagya. So these two things are there, Purana vairagya, Smashana vairagya. So Arjuna's vairagya is like that. It is not a mature vairagya. If it were to be a mature vairagya, he would have been a jnani, that is a different thing. But he is now, basically he has come to the battlefield. His vairagya is something which is a tentative vairagya because of sentimentalism. Then we come to the next shloka, that is 60, shloka number 60. Svabhavajena kaunteya nibaddhasvena karmana kartum nechyasi yanmohat karishyasya avashopitat. Svabhavajena kaunteya. Hey Kaunteya is basically addressing Arjuna. Svabhavajena karmana nibaddha. Svabhavajena svena karmana nibaddha. The Anvaya means the word order in a shloka. Svena karmana means by your own karma. Karmana, Tritiya Vibhakti. Svena karmana. What type of karma is it? Swabhavajena karma. Swabhavajena karmana. That is Swabhavajam karma. What is that Swabhavajam karma? Swabhava is his own Rajoguna. And because of that Rajoguna, you will be impelled to take up you will be impelled to take up action. When we are talking about this karma, we are not talking about the past karma, sanchita karma and whatnot. We are now talking about the swabhava, that is the mixture of sattva, rajas and tamo gunas in the person. So by this rajoguna, swabhava karma, then kartum nechasiyan mohat. Now, right now you are under a moha. Moha is deluded thinking. You are under a sort of deluded thinking. Oh, I am going to kill all these people. I am going to do a great sin, committing a great sin, etc., etc. And that moha, because of that moha, kartum na ichchasi. You are not doing your job. You are not doing whatever is the mandated karma for you. You are not doing your swadharma. Swabhavajam karma is, swabhava karma is swadharma. So you are built to, say, protect dharma. So if that is your nature, then you have to do that. You have to do that dharma. And if you do not do that, then actually you are nowhere. You are not doing your work and you are futile. The earlier shloka was talking about nashroshyasi vinangshyasi purushartha shunyo bhavishyasi. Purushartha shunya means you will be failing in achieving any purushartha. Then kartum nechyasi and moha, then karishyasi avashopitat. So if you think that you are not going to do, that will not happen, because your own prakriti will drive you, your own prakriti will impel you. In fact, Krishna here is actually putting some sort of psychological pressure also. As I said yesterday, nayena bhayena, says Shankarananda. There is one commentary by one great Vedanti called Shankarananda, and the Shankarananda is the teacher of Vidyaranya, who actually wrote the commentary on Vedas, all the 4 Vedas. He wrote this Veda Bhashyam. So his guru is Shankarananda. He has written a commentary on the Gita, which is really great. We'll just take a break and come back. Let us come back. So we are seeing this word, karishyasi avashopi tat. Avashaha. Vasha means control. Avashaha means without your own control. Suppose I am having control on myself. That is, I am having all my mind and senses under my own control. Vasha. Indriyani, vashani. Whereas, if indriyas and mind are not under my control, my own swabhava is actually propelling me to do some action. That is avashaha. Avasha means that is impelled by my own nature. So Krishna is saying, putting a sort of psychological pressure on Arjuna. You are going to do that because your prakriti is like that. So karishyasi avashopitat. Even in spite of yourself, by your own nature, by your own innate nature, you are going to do that. Then we'll come to the next shloka, because in this shloka, nothing very simple shloka. Next shloka, 61. 61 is quite often quoted, very often quoted, because it is talking about what is called the divine, the divinity which is inside everyone, and then the divinity which is activating us, which is propelling us to do some action. So that is what we are talking about in this shloka. 61. Ishvaras sarvabhutanam hruddesherjuna tisthati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. So he is giving a picture of a person who is rotating all types of figurines. Suppose there is some yantra, there is some machine in which that machine, suppose it is rotating, and in that on that rotating machine, so many figurines, small figurines are all fixed over that, and whenever as he moves all these figurines, they keep on moving. Yantra rudhani, on that yantra, on that machine, in the manner in which he wants to move them, he will move. Or we might also have seen what is called a puppet play. In that puppet play, there is somebody who is pulling all wires or strings. So a person is pulling strings and then the puppet is acting. So similarly, yantra rudhani, there is some other yantra in which the person is rotating or doing some pulling and pushing. So these figures, they do act. So like that, Ishvara here means, of course, Ishvara means that Maya Vachana Chaitanya, there is no doubt about it. that Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hruddeshe Tishtati. That is, in the Antahkarana of everybody, that Lord, that universal Lord, is present in the Antahkarana of everyone. And what is he doing? In that, what is he doing? Brahmayan Sarvabhutan. He is actually rotating all the way. Rotating means, in the sense that moving. Brahmanam. Brahmanam is like Chakra Brahmanam, we say. When we say Chakra Brahmanam, the movement of a circle. Brahmanam, that is moving. Brahmayati means he moves. Brahmati means I move. Then Brahmayati means I am making somebody else move. Brahmayami. Brahmati means he moves. It is in third person. Brahmati means he moves. Brahmayati means he moves others. He is not moving, he is moving others. So Brahmayati. So Brahmayan Sarvabhutani means controlling all the beings, making all the beings move. That is, there is a divine plan. There is a divine plan, there is a divine formula depending on which each being is moving. Brahmayan Sarvabhutani, Yantra Arudhani Iva, as though mounted on some sort of machine. Yantra Arudhani. Arudha means something which is mounted. Yantra Arudhani means something which, things which are mounted on some yantram, on a machine. Yantra Arudhani. Mayaya Brahmayan. Mayaya means by means of Maya. By means of this, Maya is again Trigunatmika. We should not take Maya does not mean magic. He is magically moving all these things. Maya is Trigunatmika. That is, by virtue of these three gunas, by this combination of different combinations of these three gunas, he is enabling, or rather he is making all these people, all these beings to move in a particular way, in a particular predestined way. So here again we see that it is appearing as though there is something called destiny, the entire thing is predestined. So we are again coming back to the question of a sort of determinism and free will. In fact, earlier also we discussed this topic long ago, somewhere in 3rd chapter, 4th chapter, etc. We talked about determinism and free will. Determinism is the idea that everything is so predetermined and then there is no question of free will for the human being. When we say free will, that it totally rejects determinism, and then a human being is born, he is a product of the environment, and then he grows with the environment. So Vedanta takes into account both. So there is determinism to the extent that a person is born with a particular amount of guna, with a particular type of guna. And that guna is some combination, some sattva, rajas and tamo guna in different proportions, it is there. So to that extent it is predetermined. And thereafter, he can change his samskaras. So that is the reason why Shastra is there. Otherwise, if a man cannot change his samskaras, what is called Shastra Anarthakyam. Shastra Anarthakyam is, all the Shastras will become futile. Suppose a person is born with some sort of criminal tendencies, and suppose there is some good influence on him, some saintly person, he comes into contact. I told the story of Buddha and Ajamila, that Buddha, when Ajamila meets Buddha, somehow he just comes under his spell. Not that Buddha knew some magic or anything. There is a lot of spell in the personality also, in the personality of great people, great sage, great Rishi, a person like Buddha. So he, by his own just pure ahimsa, the power of ahimsa, so that very, very crooked person, very fierce person called Ajamila, he cannot do anything cannot do means he doesn't feel like doing anything, and then he surrenders to Buddha. So like that. So even a criminal can suddenly turn out. There can be a change in him. Or there can be slow change also. There can be sudden change, there can be slow change also. That sort of criminal person, he may listen to some satsang, he may go to some satsang by chance. By chance he may see some satsang. By chance something may come to his mind, and then he will speculate, he will speculate on that. Like Valmiki, we know that Valmiki, in his earlier life, he was a hunter. What we call boya, we say. Boya means a hunter. And that hunter, he comes across Narada at one point of time, and then he wants to loot Narada, and Narada does not have anything apart from some veena. And okay, that robber, he thinks, okay, even this veena, I can get some money from this veena because this veena, it was a divine veena. Oh, yes, I can get something. Then he says, yeah, he snatches that veena. And Narada also yields, of course, he voluntarily yields. Then Narada engages him in discussion. And after discussing a little bit, then slowly and slowly this man realizes his mistake. I will not go into all those details. So after discussing with Narada, then this man also, he realizes, yes, what I am doing is very wrong. And suddenly, not suddenly, slowly, his mind changes. Narada gives some sort of mantra. And that mantra, it is said to be Rama mantra. And he keeps on chanting that mantra. And then he chants so sincerely that all around him a mound develops. And that mound in Sanskrit is called Valmika. Valmika is that mound. So after a long time, when this man was just immersed in that deep meditation, Lord Brahma, he is said to have appeared. And then he wakes him up from that mound. Okay, you get up. And now he gets up again and his body becomes normal. And by the grace of Brahma. And Brahma says, from now you will be called Valmiki, because all around a Valmika has formed. So, like that he becomes a Rishi. Thereafter, he gives all Brahma Jnanam. Not Brahma, yeah, Brahma Jnanam, yes, Brahma grants him Jnanam. And he becomes a great Rishi. We know that Valmiki was a very great sage. So, like that, this determinism is to the extent of causing the birth of a person. There is also free will. That is, a person has got the free will, that sort of thinking power, he has got that analytical power, and then he can go to a teacher, or he can move in the right path, he can go to a teacher and listen to Vedanta, and he can rectify himself. So that is, that to that extent free will also is accepted. So we accept a combination of determinism and free will. So here, when we say Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantrarudhani Mayaya, we have to understand that Brahmayan destiny is to the extent of the mix of three gunas. And Arjuna has not come to the level of that. He has not come to the level of that really becoming a Brahmarshi or something like that, like Vishwamitra. In the case of Arjuna, there is no such reason. In the case of Arjuna, out of sentimentalism, he wants to take up Bhikshātana, not out of any aspiration for Jnanam. If Arjuna has a real aspiration for Jnanam, if he wants to become a Brahmajnani, and if he wants to give up everything, that's a different thing. But here, Arjuna is not having that aspiration. Arjuna simply wants to avoid his duty, that's all. So that is the reason why Krishna is saying, no, you are not yet ripe for Brahmajnana. You are only at this level, so that this level of Karma Yoga. So nature will again impel you. So, Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantrarudhani Mayaya. So, this shloka is quoted quite often because there is one particular passage in a Upanishad called Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, as I say, is the biggest Upanishad we have. There are very small Upanishads. For example, there is a small Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, only about 12 mantras, and Ishavasya Upanishad, only about 18 mantras or so. Then like that, there are only just 1 or 2 pages. That's all. So, but then Brihadaranyaka is a fairly big book, and with all the commentaries and all that, is a huge book. So, in that there is a passage, there is a small section called Antaryami Brahmanam. Antaryami is another word which we usually come across. Antaryami. In Hindi cinema also there is a song. Antaryami. Antaha yamayati. Antaha means inside. Yama means to control. Antaha yamayati means inner controller. The correct translation of Antaryami is inner controller. Antaryami Brahmanam is one chapter in that Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Brahmanam does not mean, it has nothing to do with Brahmins. Brahmana means a commentary on the original, the mantra portion of the Veda. We know that Vedas, there is what is called a mantra portion, and there is a commentary on that mantra. That commentary on that mantra is called Brahmanam. Then again there is what is called Aranyakam. Aranyakam again is speculation about the nature of reality, and that is, and from there it again next level is Upanishad. Sometimes Aranyaka and Upanishad they are combined. Mantra and Brahmanam are combined. So mantra and Brahmanam combined, it is called Karma Kanda. Then Aranyaka and Upanishad combined, it is called Jnana Kanda. Sometimes there is this division of Vedas. Sometimes it is divided into two, that is Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Sometimes more in greater detail it is divided into four, that is Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyakam and Upanishad. Mantra and Brahmana are the original mantra. For example, you take Rigveda, in that Rigveda there are various suktas, and on those suktas in some other Upanishad, in some other in some other Veda there are some Brahmanas, or in Rigveda only Brahmana will be there. Then again what is called Aranyakam and again Upanishad. So like that, here we are referring to that Aranyakam, Antaryami Brahmanam, not Aranyakam, Brahmanam. So in that Antaryami Brahmanam, it talks about this Antaryami, it talks about that inner controller. So here Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantrarudhani Mayaya, as though all these puppets which are being made to move, the human being is made to move like that because of the innate nature. Then Krishna is saying in the next shloka, the next 62, shloka number 62, Tameva Sharanam Gacha Sarvabhavena Bharata Tat Prasadat Param Shantim Sthanam Prapsyasi Shashvatam. Tameva Sharanam Gacha. Tam is that. What is that? Referring to that Ishvara. Ishvaraha Sarvabhutanam Hruddeshe Tishtati. That is in the hearts. Heart does not mean physical heart which pumps blood. Heart means Antahkarana. In Vedanta, Hrudaya means Antahkarana. That is the mind. So in the mind of all the beings, that Lord dwells. And that Lord, you Sharanam Gacha. You seek refuge under Him. You seek refuge under that Lord, and realizing it as the Atma, realizing it as present in everybody, every being, and by proper realization, you will attain proper Shanti, Param Shantim you will attain, and by staying in that awareness, you will know what is your action, because unless we have a bigger picture, we will not know what is our action in life. So you have that, you concentrate your mind on that supreme reality which is present in all the beings, and you will know your duty. So this shloka needs some explanation. We will read this shloka tomorrow. Harihi Om Tat Sat.